great to have you guys with us here today. This is the first time we've ever interviewed you, so we're delighted to have you, and you're one of our favourite bands too, so this is going to be class. Yeah, so we hope you guys are all good and that you're all keeping well during like all these hard times for the music world at the minute. I know things are pretty crazy. But Milk has had a pretty like good year, despite everything going on. You guys have like a decent following, and you released like a lot of singles over the course of the pandemic too. And yeah, like everything's been going well for you guys, despite like all the no shows and all that as well. It's been awful. But before we like drill into the interview, can you guys just tell us a little bit about who you are and like how Milk actually formed?
Yeah, no worries. Will I take this one? What do you think?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
All right. Yeah, we all met in music college. We all went to the same college together, and we had known each other from playing in bands and seeing each other's bands live and things like that. The scene is very small, really. So we all met in that circle. And then Mark and Conor Gorman started writing songs together, and they had sent them to each other on WhatsApp initially. They were sending them back and forth, and Mark started sending them to me then, and they decided that they wanted to, enlist a bassist and a drummer then as well, and they got myself and Connor King involved. And yeah, we've been a band since then. So it was primarily a college friendship, and then we started working together, and yeah, that's really how it all started.
Yeah, I think it was just a thing of like, I can't remember, we met at this date or anything. We were all just like aware of each other from being around, and then as Morgan said, like we all played with like different bands and stuff in college, and it's just kind of been since then, really. I think it was the start of 2019, I think, like the very start of it, which is mad. It's like 2 years ago. I'm not counting last year. It's only been a year.
Milk is a very unique name for a band. Like, how did that come about, and is there any special meaning behind it?
It was a link. It basically has to do with the movie A Clockwork Orange, and the book A Clockwork Orange. It's kind of, Mark in particular at the beginning was keen on how Milk was portrayed in that movie, and kind of how it's normally, a symbol of life and of innocence, and that you could kind of present it in such a way that it became a totally different symbol. And he liked that contrast, and he ran the idea by all of us, and so did we, and that was essentially what we went with.
Yeah,
very interesting.
That's really interesting, because I was wondering, like, why was it called Milk and not like tea or coffee or something like that, like, So can you guys tell us a little bit about your upcoming single too, featuring Search Party Animal, and what is the inspiration behind the track?
So that was Adam Redmond, who we've been lucky to work with. He's produced all our stuff so far. Search Party Animal is basically his other project. He's got a few projects, but that's one of his projects. And we had always like worked on tunes with Adam and stuff, and we wanted to, for like the next body of work release, we wanted there to be some sort of an instrumental. We weren't sure what it was at the time, really, but we wanted there to be. It started off, the idea was we wanted an instrumental, and we wanted to kind of include Adam and Search Party Animal in on that, as we had on our last EP. And then we're just kind of there. I think we're very lucky. We got in. Like, he's got a studio, and we got in over the last lockdown, when it was still like legal. It was like 2 weeks where it was kind of legal to do stuff. We got in then, and I think I can't remember how it happened, but I think Adam kind of like threw a few things together, and then Mark came up with some lyrics and melodies. And originally what was probably intended as maybe a 1 or 2 minute instrumental kind of grew arms and legs and to be fleshed out a bit more. So it's definitely new ground, and it's exciting, I think. So I'm looking forward to get it out there for sure.
The track sounds great. You actually got a cheeky listen to it there in the emails, and it sounds fantastic. So we're sure that all your fans are going to love it too.
Hopefully.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. It's a bit riskier sonically, but I think to me it definitely kind of sounds evocative of hanging out with my friends in that studio, and it kind of reminds me of what that's like, which is especially nice these days because I never see them. But to me that's always what this song will kind of be linked with. It, to me it sounds like hanging out with him. So it's great. I'm really excited to put it out.
So you've released a few singles over the course of this pandemic. What was the reaction been like to them, and what is it like to be releasing music as a new and up and coming artist during the pandemic?
Yeah, it's been great. Like, the reaction, we've been really lucky, I think, with the way things have gone so far. Like, it's as Morgan kind of said earlier, some of those songs are a good bit old, because some of those are ideas that are built upon early demos like Mark and Connor had sent to each other. So that, like, first EP we put out was like, those songs were quite old to us, and they weren't new in a sense. So it was nice to release them and kind of look at the next thing, and you know, take a minute and, you know, pause and stick with them and look at the next thing. But it's, you know, we've got a run of shows coming up at the end of the year, and there'll be songs from the first EP that we haven't even played live yet, you know. So that's like a strange thing, but I think we're always just trying to write and you know, put out more music. So it's been tough, obviously, but it's been rewarding at the same time. I don't know about you, Morgan.
For us in particular, though, you see, I've always considered us to have like an especially strong sort of sense of online community about our band, and a sort of, you know, it seems like people are really invested in following us online and kind of interacting with one another through us and that kind of thing. So in that sense, we weren't a band that kind of lived and died with our live shows. Like, it's not even really something we've done a massive amount of. So I think that played into our hands hugely in the pandemic, in that we could still engage with people in a way that they all enjoyed and that fulfilled all of us, even without being able to play shows. And in that sense, we're very fortunate that we have so many that are so interested online, you know?
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. So can you guys remember the first song you wrote, and who would be your biggest influences?
Wow. I think Drama Queen was one of the first things that the lads had worked on, and then, like, I was kind of brought into the fold after that. But I mean, like, after the kind of like initial demos were done and stuff. But I think that was one of the first things I wrote, and then yeah, I don't. Is
I
that
think
one
of the first things we worked on together in a room, you know, preparing it for live shows and things, it always sticks out that Treat Me was one of the first ones that felt like a more collaborative writing environment. Our timeline is really weird, though. Like, You and I, that came out really recently, is ancient compared to some of the other things that
Oh my god.
for it, because we revisit old ideas so much. So it's all been sort of topsy-turvy, really. But yeah, the further along we've gotten, the more collaborative they've been, I would say, and that's kind of the way it's going these days.
And in terms of influence, then, I think we all bring like quite a different palette of music, you know, that we're into. Like, there's definitely music that I would listen to that I know that the lads might not as much, and the same probably goes for everyone. So I think at the heart of it all, it's like pop music. And I think Conor Gorman summed it up once. He kind of said, like, the tunes have to be catchy, you know, like not in an intentional way of, oh, let's do something that we can't get behind, but that's catchy, but just they're pop songs, you know, and that's what we all like probably listen to the most. But it's like ways of doing that and finding it interesting. For me, like, people like Japanese House, I've been listening to them a lot recently, and I just, interest in textures, I think, is really important.
Yeah, the common ground we generally find is that we all like kind of sonically risky, interesting pop music, and I think that that's kind of something that, no matter what sort of strange references or different angles we'll take with each track, we kind of try to come back to that in our own music too. And they all have a sort of accessibility about them that we kind of aim for, even if it is a bit left of center.
So what is the creation process like behind your music? Where would you say your main ideas stem from, and do you think your hometown has any impact on your music?
So it's been strange over the, like, we've never been the band that is kind of like, okay, we're going into a shed and, you know, like, writing songs together for an hour, like jamming a riff for an hour. That hasn't really ever been the way we've wrote. It's always been like, Mark and Connor are quite good with production, so a lot of the time they might have an idea for something and send it over, and we're like, oh cool, try this. And, you know, in more recent times then, I suppose, yeah, with that, I might send over a bass part, or like Morgan would, like, you know, oh, let's do the drums this way. And it always has been quite collaborative, even though it hasn't always been in the same room. But usually it starts from a laptop. I would say.
Yeah, a laptop or a WhatsApp chat in general. When it was really early on, the way that we were all communicating was just kind of talking about a demo someone had sent on WhatsApp. We would suggest changes that could be made, and eventually they would be, and it would kind of just keep changing. But it has a much larger kind of virtual element than other creative environments I've been in. Like, it's definitely the least conventional band that I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but I think that's helped us in with lockdown, because we've been really lucky. Like in the last while, we've been able to work with some producers and stuff via Zoom, and I think we're kind of okay with not being in the room together making music.
Yeah.
So we felt comfortable with that, which has been really rewarding. So I'm obviously like can't wait. I think now it's gone the other way. We all want to be in a room together and like write on some stuff, which we hadn't really ever done before. So yeah, that was definitely over the lockdown we started like doing these online sessions with people, and I say it's helped us a bit in that regard, because like I said, it's not we weren't afraid of that or apprehensive, because we know it can work. So yeah.
But sorry, what was the other question? There was another part about does our city, where we're from,
does your hometown have any impact on your music?
I would say not necessarily where I grew up so much as where I am now. I think that my living in Dublin has been hugely significant in how I've met all of my peers and all the other people I've collaborated with, but also just kind of there's a certain spirit about the Dublin music scene that is very kind of supportive, and if you're doing something you can stand behind and you're nice about it and you're honest and you hang on to your integrity, generally you'll see the same few people at the gigs, and there kind of will be a very quickly formed sense of community. And I think that makes it a lot easier to kind of back yourself and to take risks. And it is a really kind of nice, nurturing environment to start in. I don't think if I had started being a musician in a different city, maybe it wouldn't have been quite as pleasant for me as it ended up being. Like, I feel like how small Dublin is definitely improved things for me in that respect.
Yeah, I'd be the same as Morgan. Yeah, completely.
So what would like your favorite musical memory be? And if you could invite 5 musicians to the dead or alive, who would they be?
Wow. One of my favorite music memories is my my granddad's a musician. He's a guitar player. So I think so basically I got into playing the bass, but I don't know if you're familiar, but I don't know if you're everyone, but you know Feroga clubs? Like, do you remember? Yeah. So I was in a Feroga club at home, and we were doing, I think there was like some local competition. I don't know what it was, but all I knew is we had to sing a song, do you know, that kind of way. And my options were like either sing or play an instrument, and bass was like the only instrument that no one played in the club. So one of my favorite memories is like my granddad's a musician and really encouraged it, and he had no bass I borrowed, and then I remember we actually went in a skilling, and I got like my first bass that was mine, and that was a really, like, looking back, I have it still at home. I remember over Christmas, it's like firewood, like it's terrible, but like at the time it was the best thing in the world. So I think going up my granddad and like him, you know, getting me my first bass is probably my favorite memory.
That's cool.
Yeah, my favorite musical memory, I think, is, I don't know. I always find speaking to my family after shows to be especially nice. That's kind of the one that's a constant for me when we do have shows regularly. Is, I don't know, none of them in particular stick out, but I guess speaking to my parents after headline shows, or, you know, family members that might not really be as familiar with what we would do, or kind of the impact that it has on other people, and being able to, I don't know, speak to them in a context that's entirely different to normal family life is always really special and really nice for me. And chatting to my parents after headlines, that's my answer to that question.
I think I'm going to quickly follow on as well and say, I think I don't know if you can call it like one memory, but like working on last summer when I say when it was like legal to work on tunes for a while, that was a really special time, I think, with everything that was obviously going on in the world. And then we were all just together, and, you know, with Adam as well, who we mentioned, and just little silly things like, you know, walking to, there was like a garage near him and getting like chicken fillet rolls, and just silly things, but it felt like normal life. And I think because music is how happened, that's really special and like
Yeah,
very
that's a great
lucky
answer. I agree
to have
with
had that. But yeah, hopefully more memories to come when it's all open back.
Oh, fingers crossed to get them soon, fingers crossed. And
Yeah.
the second part of that question was, if you could invite 5 musicians dead or alive to dinner, who would it be?
That's a big. Are you talking like super group, as in like
Oh, no,
you know?
It could be anybody.
Will we collaborate on 5 people here?
Yeah,
Connor?
yeah,
We'll
yeah.
submit a collective 5.
Wow. I think I would like to see what, like, I don't know. It's such
I
a
want Prince at the table for sure.
yeah.
I
Prince
feel
would
like
probably be there.
he's gonna start a scrap, and I think that'll be exciting.
Yeah. We'll give Prince a shout. I think just because he's an unknown quality, I'd like Frank Ocean to be tipping around, like, you know, maybe just to see what he's got. It's just, we'll give someone alive the shout, like.
Yeah, Prince and Frank Ocean. I'm gonna go with Kanye West for some.
Actually, yeah, I'll get rid of Frank, and we'll put Kanye instead of Frank because I think he'd be better.
And so that's 2. We need 3 more. I'll also take.
I take a bit of like Bach or someone, just because imagine, right, Bach rolls up and you can do everything that would have taken him months to do in a laptop in a day. I think that'd be amazing. And I think he'd be able to do magic. So
Nice.
we go with him because I don't know how hot the other boys are on the theory, like. But we need a bit of a theory head.
Well, I think, who else did we put in? I want to put Rick Rubin in. I feel he'll ground everybody. He'll make everyone speak wisely and give sage advice.
Yeah.
And will we do an Irish cultural figure for the final, for number 5?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, who are you picking though, really?
My gut says Johnny Logan's number 5.
Yeah.
My mom grew up with him.
Ah, love it.
Perfect.
Yeah, they
Then
used
he
to
is
spend
number
Christmas
5.
together.
Yeah.
Johnny Logan's number 5. It's official.
Yeah, that's. I think that's as good as I'm gonna get without really thinking about it. To be honest, not saying it's gonna be the best music group of all time, but like.
Yeah, there'll be the odd stiff moment, but I think the chat will be varied at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, would definitely would.
Be interesting.
Who is your dream artist to collaborate with, and what was your favorite memory from being on tour?
Ooh, dream collaborator. I feel like it's important to also pick someone that we would get on well with. Like, we could pick someone really outlandish here and it's likely to just be a disaster. I feel like Justin Vernon's a nice guy. I think Bon Iver would probably be pretty sound.
Yeah,
seems like he knows what he's doing.
That'd be very cool.
Brian Eno seems like a nice guy. What do you think, Conor?
Yeah, I like the Justin Vernon shout. I think that would be cool. I would find that rewarding. I'd like to see musically like what would happen with that. I think kind of side topic, but I think what Paul McCartney did with his last record is really cool, where he put out a record and then he's got like everyone to kind of do their own cover in their own style, but like they add on a verse and stuff. So a situation like that would be cool. Yeah, I'll go Justin Vernon there.
Just because. And then a favorite tour moment.
I think it has to be, well, not last December, but December before that, when the world was still normal, we had a little support tour supporting De Laurentiis around, and it was the first time that we'd probably like got to play shows, on the bounce. Like, I think it was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So just being together for that amount of time was very nice. But I think favorite memory was probably, I don't know. I don't know. You go for it. Go for Morgan. What are you thinking?
I'm trying to think. Was there a room I particularly enjoyed in any of the places? I liked playing the Roisin and Dove because I love Galway, and I'd wanted to do that and I hadn't gotten to. So
actually, yeah,
the Roisin and Dove was cool, and there was always a nice kind of sense of, I don't know.
Actually, that's a good show. Yeah. Because I think if I remember that day, we had a lot of time to get in Galway, and Galway's lovely anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was a really nice day. We just kind of hung out, got some coffee. Like, sound extremely tame now. It was nothing crazy, but it was just a nice time.
We're looking back on it extra fondly at the minute as well, because we haven't seen each other in so long. Like, to do a day of normal rambling around Galway would be unreal.
Yeah, that's why, brother. We've got I suppose we've got the show in Galway in December, October, so that would be big buzz. But yeah, I think, look, know what we know now. That is, I'd love to do that again. So I'll go for that day around Galway, chilling.
Yeah. So, what was the first album that you guys ever bought?
Oh, mine was, right? I don't know if this counts, but it was a single, and it was Good Charlotte, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Do you remember that tune?
Ooh,
and the reason I bought it was you got to watch the music video with it, and the music video was sick. So you put the CD into your computer, but it ruined my computer. I remember it ruined the family computer. It just, I don't know what happened. It ruined it, and I got in a lot of trouble, and I'll never forget. So, yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Okay. Jesus, that's a tough one to live up to now. What was my first one? I reckon it was probably the that Avril Lavigne album with she's on the front and the thing behind her is blurry. What's that album called? Let It Go?
Let It Go, is it? Yeah.
I bought that. I remember buying that with my own money and thinking it was just full of tunes, which it is. But I thought that at the time as well.
I think she was probably like most people's first CD as well.
Yeah,
she was class.
She was so young as well.
She really was, yeah.
She's like 17, I think. Yeah, loads of tunes.
Yeah, I loved her. That was my first.
I still listen to her.
Yeah.
I think I made a pretty harsh left then. I think the second album I bought I went from Good Charlotte, and then I think I bought like D12 World. I think that was like the D12 album with and it was like £7 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I went directly from Avril Lavigne to Linkin Park. They had an album called Meteora that I bought shortly after that. We both went south pretty quickly after our first album purchase.
I think like one of my early albums was like the Bob the Builder soundtrack. Like I used to be like obsessed with it.
Good tunes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love
it. What is your favorite track that you've ever released? Why?
I have I think, not just saying it's because it's coming up, whatever, but I think 2 will be really exciting because it is quite different, and it's like, in my mind, it's the start of the kind of new era, I think. Not that we're not becoming like a metal band or anything, but I think it signifies us maybe, I suppose the last couple of singles as well, but it's definitely our own sound a bit more, like working out what our sound is. So
yeah,
I think I'm excited to put out more of that stuff. If you know what I mean.
I agree. It's something I definitely feel that we can all really stand behind, and that we're all really genuinely excited for. For that reason, I said it on my Instagram story recently that I believe that 2 is my favorite thing that we have ever put out, and I stand by that. It's really cool. It's something I would definitely, listen to in my own time, and something that I really appreciate as a piece of music, regardless of it being my own band. And I think that's a good sign,
Yeah.
So, what message do you want your fans to take away with them when they listen to 2?
Ooh, be good to your mates, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on it earlier, Morgan, but I know lyrically it could mean a lot of things, but the go-to thing could be, oh, this is romantic or this is whatever. But I think it's more, people can make their own minds up on things, but I think it's more about friendship and camaraderie and the enjoyment and fulfillment you get from seeing the people dearest to you, from a platonic sense as well, your friends. I think that's what everyone misses at the minute,
Yeah, I agree.
What is your favorite go-to song to distract yourself from hard times, especially over the pandemic?
I've got a few, there's a few mad ones. I started listening to a load of Heady One, and I think he's sick, and probably I'll throw on a bit of Heady One or any sort of UK hip hop, and I'll just get lost in it. I know it's a bit out there, but I think I like the energy in those type of songs, and you can't sit around being too sad listening to hip hop. So
yeah,
That's what I'll go for.
Similarly, I've kind of been doing the same thing where I listen to music that has a particular energy about it. So I've been listening to a lot of LCD Sound System and a lot of Sylvan Esso for the same reason. I find they have this really nice kind of, I don't know, there's a humanness about them where you can tell that the people playing are really trying and that they're really having fun. And when it's really hard to have fun of your own, I always find music like theirs is easy to kind of, you can sort of tap into the vibe that they were on when they were making the songs, because there's so much live recording in them. And yeah, it's easier for me to have a good time for that sort of stuff.
With that being said as well, actually, I've listened, like my Spotify rap thing, I listened to so much Ariana Grande and didn't even realize. I think they're just like pop tunes that are really well done, and she's a great singer. So you forget about the world a bit. So yeah, I'll happily take that.
So have you guys been to any concerts like before all this COVID madness happened? And have they inspired you in any way? And also, how have you guys been adapting to the music industry, like, you know, like temporarily being online for now?
Last gig. I can't remember the last thing I saw.
I always find going to see gigs of, you know, bands that my friends are in really inspiring. So recently I was at shows. Search Party Animal did one. I couldn't tell you how long ago it was because
that was December, wasn't it?
Search Party Animal did a show recently that I thought was really great. They have a really keen sense of kind of cooperation and like a really nice sort of shared energy on stage. So I loved that. And I have mates in a band called Magazines that I watch those guys live all the time. And yeah, it's really heartening and really inspiring to see people that I'm friends with, you know, personally really going after it and putting out things that they're proud of and enjoying themselves so much. So I always have a kind of a special feeling about going to gigs where I know my friends will be involved. I generally prefer them to, you know, massive productions of acts that I would really look up to. It's a different kind of an enjoyment for me.
Yeah. I think the last I think I've been to some other gigs, but the last like festival I was at was Electric Picnic in 2019. And that was I really enjoyed that, and I got to see the Strokes, who would have been like a big influence on me growing up. Not like influence just as much as a band I really liked, and you know I didn't like go around Mayo thinking I was like Julian Casablancas, but I just really liked the band. So seeing them was like live was really I know it was really nice. Even aside from the music, it was just a nice thing to be like, yeah, this is someone I've wanted to see for a while. So I'm looking forward to the world opening up, and you know I haven't checked really, but I will definitely go to more shows, I think, when things come back. And you know, I think we've all done it where there's someone playing, you're like, oh I must go to that, but I forgot to get tickets or whatever. I think I'm going to be straight on, you know, whatever it is, 9 o'clock on the Friday, buying the tickets. I won't take for granted again, for sure.
Is there any advice you'd like to give to musicians who are just starting out?
Yeah, I think if you're like maybe unsure about stuff, just stick to what you like. Not stick to what you like in a way that like, you know, you don't push yourself or your comfort zone, but I think maintain your integrity and just like listen to what it is you want to do. And there's no rush. The biggest thing I'd say is there's no rush on anything. Like you're in charge, and if you feel a pressure to, I need to put out this song or I need to do whatever, no, you don't. You put out things that you want to put out. You know?
Yeah, that's a good one. Similarly, I would go with know your strengths, like Conor said, know your means. Don't try to stretch yourself too early. Understand that it's known that you're only starting, and that really any pressure that you put yourself under, like Conor was saying, it is ultimately entirely your call, and that is the greatest liberty of working at this kind of thing, is that really you are in control at all times. That's why you start doing this in the first place. It's because you get to do something that you like. So stick to the parts of it that make you feel that true joy that made you start playing music. Hang on to whatever that is, and it'll help you make the right decisions about your playing and about your career and everything.
Yeah, and I think as well, like music is so different, like sports or something, where you know, like there are no winners. There's no like gold medal, or there's not like, there's only 11 spots on the team. It's like there's room for everyone, and go at your own pace, do what you feel is right, and like, you know, someone else's definition of success can be totally different from someone else's. So just like think about yourself and just go with it. Like have fun, as Morgan's saying. Basically have fun.
Yeah.
100%, yeah. So we have a couple of questions left, plus a few, and this one here is what are you looking forward to when lockdown ends? I can imagine gigs.
Yeah.
I mean, the tour is a huge one. I live really close to Conor King though, so I feel like it will just be the case that I'll, you know, walk up the hill, go see him. Seeing my mates as normal, and then playing shows and going to shows is a huge one for me. I'll never ever take that for granted again.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think we're very lucky in that, like where we're at and the things we've put out and stuff, like pre-lockdown versus hopefully after lockdown, whenever that comes, we're you know, we've got to build our team a bit. We've got to, you know, like we've dated in the UK and things like that. So being able to appreciate that as a group as well. Do you know, like we put out an EP. We're going to be, by the time lockdown ends, realistically, we're going to put out a lot more music, and we haven't got to celebrate that together. So I'm really looking forward to just kind of like hanging out with the guys and saying, yeah, like, you know, not in a way that's egocentric or anything, but patting ourselves on the back a little bit and saying, you know, let's enjoy this. And yeah, getting to play shows is the big one, because it's more going to kind of said it before that, like, you know, say like Spotify numbers or whatever, and they're just on your phone, and there's no kind of way of I think Morgan, you had said it's like playing like Band Simulator.
Yeah, like you have indie Band Simulator kind of thing. Like it seems to all be going super well, but we haven't had any tangible proof of an audience or proof of enjoyment from anybody in real life in a really long time. So it'd be nice to see how it all goes over, you know.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
Have you been binge watching any shows during the lockdown, or have you discovered any new hobbies or hidden talents you didn't know you had?
Yes, I have been. I live with my girlfriend, and I'm not even ashamed anymore. I don't care. I've watched the entirety of Desperate Housewives, and it's great. I stand by it. Like it was really good. I was super apprehensive, but it's great, and they should bring it
is a good show.
they should bring it back. So yeah, that's we just finished that and started watching a thing called Scandal on Disney Plus, which is very good. As far as hobbies go, no, I'm still pretty bad at everything else.
What have I been doing? My girlfriend watches a lot of true crime TV and movies and stuff, so most of the things that I watch are about horrendous murders and things like that. And then for some reason this horrendous murder interest has coincided with me also becoming more interested in MMA and watching MMA on TV, which is completely weird. And if you knew me personally, you would know that that's absolutely not something that you think I'd be interested in at all. But I watch so much UFC. I didn't know that I liked this. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's just isolation. But I've been watching a lot of UFC.
Nice. So you guys have like recently had to like reschedule your UK and Ireland tour, which I can imagine it must have been a bummer on you guys. So like you had like a date in the academy, and you also sold out London as well, which is pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
And that's been rescheduled for later in the year. So obviously like that's something that we can all look forward to. So how has the reschedulation of those like dates impacted you as a band? And you know, what can we expect for the shows later this year?
Do you know what? It was tough. It was hard because I remember when those shows were booked, they seemed so realistic. So for anyone that might not know, those shows were booked for pretty much now, like February and March of this year, but they were booked last summer. And, you know, that was when we were down to like 6 cases a day, you know, like
even a bit
for granted, like
yeah. It just seemed so attainable. Like it seemed like, that definitely, that they will all go ahead. That's fine. So that was tough to then have to come down from that, and that was like the one thing I had to look forward to. But with that being said, with the rescheduling, like we've released some more music since then, so we've been able to, you know, add a couple more shows. We even upgraded a couple of venues, so hopefully it means in the long run more people will get to see us, which is a positive thing, and that's the positive thing I'm trying to hang on to. But in terms of live show, then I think it's going to be full of energy. Like we're going to put a lot of work into it because we have the time to.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of pre-production and stuff, and we have changed. Like we work now with them. Before with our headline shows, and really all of our shows prior to these ones, it was just us kind of, figuring out how to do it ourselves. And we did a good job and we developed a system that worked for us, but it's definitely due to kind of upgrade itself a little. And now we have the right team in place that we can do that. And, we can really take care with like how our stage is set up and how the lights look and, a sort of a more of an experience for the audience too.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah. And then just obviously going back to playing shows after so long, we'll all be really giving it everything,
Yeah. Hopefully we can still all play the instruments. I don't know.
That's it. Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to start practicing now.
So what does the future have in store for Milk? And is there any certain like goals that you'd like to achieve as a band?
I think the future holds a lot more music in the short term. Like we have been very fortunate, like I say, we've been able to work away on things. So there is like, not to sound too like, vague and mysterious with it, but there are like, lots of things to come and like music wise. And then in terms of goals, I don't know, what are you thinking, Morgan? Like we're kind of just going at our own pace and.
Yeah, you see, it's been so difficult too to plan things properly and with a sense of conviction because it all seems worlds away. It's difficult to anticipate how you think things are going to go. But I would love to have us in a position where we travel more, playing music for people.
Yeah.
I would love to tour more frequently and in more places. And to experience and experiment with different collaborators and recording environments. And yeah, I think we're all in a position now, especially having been isolated and stuff, where we're very much willing to take, any opportunities or any risks that we think will better our careers or our lives together. And yeah, more traveling and more experiences with the band as a group. However that might come to us, I think that's our common desire for this,
Yeah.
And then hopefully the fans and the listeners enjoy it along the way,
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So Conor and Morgan, that actually concludes the end of our interview. So it was great chatting to you guys. Thanks so much for all your answers. The new single 2 is out next Friday, isn't it?
Next Thursday, yeah. Next Thursday.
Yeah. Later people, and you can pre-save that on Spotify, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be out on all major streaming platforms as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys at the Academy in Dublin later this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Surely. Like.
It has to happen. Like.
Thanks so much, folks.
Go though. Just tell everyone, where can we find you on social media?
So it's at Milk the Music. Pretty much on everything. On Twitter, there's an underscore after the last, after like the C in music. But at Milk the Music. So that's that's where we are. That's where we're going to be residing for the next while, because we're not in the real world. We're online at the minute, but that's where everyone can find us, and we'll have lots of news to share very shortly as well.
Yeah, so make sure to follow those guys on social media, and we really highly recommend checking them out because they've got a great sound, and they're a great bunch of lads too. So thanks so much, Conor and Morgan, and we'll chat to you soon. Mind yourselves and take care.
Cheers, folks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
For me,